Afternoon, folks. My name is Oscar Arias, and I'm an admissions counselor with Rockland Community College in Suffern, New York. Let me give you my contact information. My direct line is 845-574-4272, and my email address is oarias@sunyrockland.edu. So I want to welcome you to our first SUNY Rockland online information session through SUNY. And I want to thank you for taking the time to consider our school as one of your choices. And I know how big a choice this is, especially during this time of the health crisis with COVID-19. So I hope to address some of those concerns and make that choice and that decision a little easier to make, and ultimately maybe to choose RCC as your pick. I like to always begin by telling students that, you know, if you're young, if you're coming out of high school, or if you're a transfer student, but if you're young, you're about to make one of the biggest decisions, one of the biggest pivotal moves in your life. This is a huge investment, one that will impact the quality of life that you will live in the future. So the decisions you make today will impact your tomorrow. And this is a real investment. This is not monopoly money, because I know some students look at it as, you know, live it up now and we'll pay it later when I get a $100,000 job. And that doesn't happen for many people, for most. So I like to compare it to purchasing a car, a brand new car, or purchasing your home. It's a long-term debt that you're being asked to take on at a very early age. And the consequences are real. I don't know if you know what debts are forgiven in bankruptcy, but the only one debt that cannot be forgiven is that of a student loan. So if your business goes under, if you fall behind on your mortgage payments, you could be forgiven through a bankruptcy. You won't have to pay it back, and you can build up your credit. But with a school loan, this is a long-term investment and a permanent investment, because it'll follow you for the rest of your life. You can't file it through forgiveness through bankruptcy. It's a choice that will have a lasting educational, social, and financial impact. So keep that in mind as we go through our presentation. Anyway, those are my 2 cents. Let's begin. So what is a community college? A community college, for many people, some people think that you're completing the first 2 years of college, and then you transfer to a 4-year university and you have to complete another 4, as if we were a college prep program. And the reality is that we are the equivalent to the first 2 years of a 4-year degree. We parallel what you would do, let's say, at Pace University in the first 2 years, taking 100 and 200 level courses. And then once you graduate, you've completed half of your 4-year degree. And then you would transfer to a 4-year program and complete levels, 300 level and 400 level courses to complete your major concentration. I'm sorry. So that's, I just wanted to clarify that, because that is a common misunderstanding. So yes, we are equivalent to the first 2 years. And what degrees do we offer? We offer associate degrees, associate in arts and associate in applied science. And the majority of our students would fall under liberal arts, math and science, or humanities and social science. And there's nothing wrong with that degree. This is a choice that students make early on because they're unsure of what career to pursue. So the first 2 years of college, anywhere you go, are going to be foundational courses. So English 101, general psych, math, lower level and even upper level math courses that you complete for your 4-year degree. You're going to take the same courses at PACE that you would take at RCC. These are general education foundation courses that are required for any degree. So liberal arts degree would give you that leverage to then hold off on selecting your core concentration of your major and save money, and also maintain flexibility, because after completing 2 years in a liberal arts program, you could then select any major. You can go into engineering, you could go into pre-med, you can go into business, computer science, because you've completed the first 2 years of gen eds that are required for any major at a 4-year school. Okay, and let's move on. Okay. So benefits of a community college. Yes, we are a pathway to a 4-year program, and we do have affordable tuition. As I said earlier, this is a huge investment. Our tuition is under $5,000 per year. Even a SUNY State University 4-year school, you're looking at $28,000 on average, total cost of attendance. And at some private schools like PACE, I hate to keep using PACE, but PACE as an example is somewhere around 65, if not more. And NYU is at about 85,000 total cost of attendance. So it's a big difference. It's a fresh start. If you're not sure, if you did poorly in high school or mediocre, you can come to RCC and embellish your academic profile to get into a choice program that you couldn't get into in high school, coming out of high school. Another reason would be small classes. Our ratio, student-teacher ratio, is somewhere between 20 and 25 students per class, so we cap many at 30. Lab sciences are smaller. Any specialty programs like auto has a smaller cap, a lower cap, because it's got limited space. So you have a close, small knit community in any class that you enroll in. You get to know your fellow classmates and your instructor and your TA if there's a TA. In a 4-year university, you could be first and second year courses, you could be in a lecture hall with 400 people. And you're just a number. So that's, another, I think, another advantage that you and benefit that you'll receive by attending a small school like SUNY, Rockland. Specialty programs. We have a nationally ranked, or not ranked, but recognized honors program, the Sam Draper Honors Program. And we also have a stellar nursing program with a licensing pass rate on the NCLEX averaging somewhere around 98 to 99% historically. Our auto tech program, we have an apprenticeship program with Subaru and Ford Asset. And these are, that program in particular, I mean, you're saving, if you go to Lincoln Tech or any of these tech schools, private proprietary schools, you're looking at 35 or more, 38,000 for the total package. And at RCC, you're completing a college degree for $10,000, an associate degree, which is different from a certificate, which is what you would earn at a tech school. There's also what I mentioned earlier, also the distribution of general education foundation credits. Why pay $900 a credit to take general psych or English 101 when you could do it at RCC for $206 a credit? Another reason would be remediation. We spoke about that, and flexibility of scheduling your classes. You could take classes in the evening. You could take classes in the daytime. You could take classes on the weekend. You could take classes online, and you tailor it according to your need. You could bounce it around. You could stagger it. It doesn't have to be all at night or all in the day or on the weekend. You could stagger it, some online, some in class. So that's a great benefit. And we're close to home. If you're in Rockland, we're close to home, and we are a major, one of the main hubs for the Rockland Tour bus routes, and you could get here from just about any corner of Rockland County. So let's move on. Why attend? Additional questions, additional reasons, I guess. Benefits are, we mentioned some of this already. And the tuition, we mentioned the tuition. I see we have a question. What is the maximum financial aid award that you can receive, and does RCC accept the Excelsior Scholarship? The maximum award you could receive is upwards of $11,000 between New York State and federal grants. And we're talking Pell for the FAFSA and TAP for the New York State grant. So that would be the maximum. It's need-based. So they look at the number of members in the family, how many dependents, how many are in college, and what your household income is, and that's how they arrive at that. So if you could come out with no debt and additional funds, actually, because these are grants and it's free money. A grant is free money. It's not a loan. You don't pay it back. So students, I know students that receive close to $5,000 in refund checks every year, about close to $2,300 per semester. And that's money they get to keep. And that's after paying for tuition, books, and fees. So that's money you could put towards your four-year school. Excelsior, the Excelsior Scholarship is the fairly new scholarship offered or created by the Cuomo administration. And it requires that you be a full-time student. We do accept it. You have to be a full-time student, and you have to be enrolled for at least 12 credits and earn 30 for the year, per year. So if you were to take the minimum number of credits for full-time status, enrollment status, then that would be 12 per semester. That would put you short by 6. So you would have to make up the other 6 credits either through winter session or summer. And I believe you could use high school credits, college credits that you earned in high school, during high school. So in a dual enrollment program, any of those credits from a college, accredited college, would be also used towards that calculation. Let's see. Let's move on. We've gone through the class size. Any other questions?
I did see a question here referring to what kind of scholarships do you have?
We have the RCC Foundation. These are privately funded scholarships, and they number close to 100 awards. And we have a set number that, not really set, but a small number for new students. But the large majority of the scholarships that we offer, I would say, are for continuing students. So you have to have academic coursework and performance to qualify for those scholarships. And again, the criteria is set by the individuals who offer the scholarship, and they are privately funded. So there are all types of categories. It could be based on academic performance, career choice. I know we have one for even students pursuing the 24 credit GED program, which we'll talk about later. Just career choice, performance, and but there's a wide variety. For incoming students, new students coming from high school, there are about 15 to 18 awards annually. That varies. As long as they're renewed, we offer them. And you could win multiple awards. It's not limited to one. You could apply for 5, and you may qualify for all, or a partial number of those. Yep. Any other questions?
We have one more that just came in. Do you offer on-campus housing?
Well, recently, I would say for the past 2 or 3 years, we've been partnering with other colleges to offer dorm and room and board to students. So right now, currently, we have students residing on campus at Ramapo in Mahwah, which is a short distance, about maybe, I don't know, 10-minute ride, 8 to 10-minute ride. We provide a shuttle throughout the day. I think there are 4 trips that we make to and from. And students can reside on their campus and take advantage of all the facilities, the gym, the cafeteria, the dining hall, the library, all the technology, and but they remain one of our students. Now, they also have a transfer agreement. We have a transfer agreement with them where the students can transition into Ramapo and receive a 25% discount on the 50% discount on the out-of-state portion of the tuition. So it's about 25% off the total if you reside in New York, because that is a Jersey school. But we do offer accommodations on their campus. We have private room singles, and we have suite style with kitchenettes. And the total cost, including room and board, including tuition and fees, you're looking at probably close to, see, the room and board would be about 10 and change. I think you get a small package for about 11 with the meal plan, 11,000 plus our tuition. So you're looking at about 16,000, a complete package, and that's $10,000 to $12,000 cheaper than a 4-year SUNY, and if you get a full package, financial aid package, that's a big dent that you put into that cost. Okay. Any other questions?
No, I think we're good at the moment. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. Let's move forward. The admissions process. There's a $30 application fee. We have transitioned to online only. We don't accept the paper application any longer. We have a few stragglers out there at our local high schools, and we'll accept those, but that's it. We've turned that off as of, I believe, April. So if you're applying today, you have to apply online. Our website is sunyrockland.edu, and it's a $30 fee. If you're reapplying, it's only, if you've attended RCC in the past, it would only be a $5 fee. What else? We do offer a need-based. You have to provide documentation, but we do offer a waiver, an application fee waiver, but you would have to qualify and with supporting documentation that shows need. When you apply, after you apply, you need to call your high school and have them, or if you're still in high school, meet with your guidance counselor and have them send us a copy, official copy of your transcript. And if you attended college or took a college course while you were in high school, then you need to contact that college and have them send us an official copy. It has to come from the institution that granted the credit. So you would need, multiple transcripts if you took college credits, the high school plus the college transcript. Immunization record, by law, we need to have that on file if you're taking 6 credits or more. If we don't have it by the deadline, and that's usually the second or third week in the semester, then we would have to deregister you. And it's a big process to get you back in class. It's possible, everything is possible, but you don't want to go through that headache. So I advise students to get that in now. Just go to your nurse. Your high school nurse should have that record, because by law they have to have a record of your immunization, so they can forward it to us. And if not, you can contact your physician, your family doctor, and have them either email it or fax it. And the email, they can send it to admissions@sunyrockland.edu, or they could send it to my email. And if they're sending it by fax, that would be 845-574-4499. The placement exam, you will be required to take the placement exam unless you meet the waiver requirements. We do have an exemption process where students with a 75 or higher in math in certain subjects like Algebra 2, Pre-Calc or Calc or Geometry can be waived from a math placement. You could also use standardized test scores like SAT or ACT. For English, the same. You could use a 480 or better on the English reading. And then the math would be a 570. And for ACT, it's 20-30 split, English math. You could also use an overall GPA in high school of 75 or better, or 74 or better to get you out of the English placement. So the process for admissions, I see a question here. How long is the process? When you're with registration, and when will registration begin? So the process is very fast. It's a very unencumbered process because you apply and we have an open admissions policy. So you would receive your acceptance letter immediately. And then after you receive your acceptance letter, within, I would say, once we receive your transcripts, we could waive your placement. Most students are meeting the waiver requirements within a week, as long as we receive it early. And then registration would be, it's ongoing, so it's beginning for new students. It would be the 28th. For continuing students, it's the 26th of May. So the 28th would be the first day. And as long as we have your app and you're accepted and we get your transcripts to waive the placement, then you could register pretty much any time after the 28th or any time after that. If you need to take the placement, right now it's on hold due to the COVID-19 crisis. So we're not testing, and you just have to keep checking your email for updates and our website to see when we turn that back on. But it's very quick. It's a quick process. Any questions regarding the admissions process?
I think we're good at the moment. We can keep rolling.
Oh, and just keep it, after you receive your acceptance letter, you do get follow-up emails to with credentials on how to activate your RCC email. Username and password would be emailed to you, so you will need to activate your email and your banner account before you can move forward in the registration process. So everything's done electronically at this time and virtually. Okay, so let's move on. Transfer opportunities, yes. I briefly spoke about transfer agreements that we have with 60 or plus colleges. And what that means is that, like I said earlier, you complete the first 2 years of a four-year degree. And if you follow the two parallel programs, you have to do this early on. They will, and you graduate with all the requirements. If there's a GPA requirement, for instance, Pace University will accept any degree coming out of the business program at RCC, 100% transfer of the credits. They'll accept all of them, and then you can complete your bachelor's in business there, be it accounting, marketing, whatever your focus is. That's guaranteed. So that's how a transfer agreement works. And the great thing about it is that you're pursuing your associate degree with that assurance that you're not going to lose any credits when you transfer to the four-year, and you're saving a ton of money. So close to, it can be upwards of 40 to 50,000 a year that you're saving. And PACE for one, and many of those transfer agreements offer scholarship money. PACE will offer two students coming out of RCC a full ride in the business program. NYU has a program, scholarship program for education majors, and Manhattanville, I believe, has a $10,000 and $12,000 scholarship. There's also PTK scholarship awards that they grant the students that earn the PTA designation at RCC. Question I have for what schools are part of the agreement? So I mentioned NYU, PACE, Manhattanville, STAC, Dominican, Ramapo, just to name a few, Fairleigh Dickinson, NJIT, NYIT. But if you go to our website, you're going to find all this information. detailed information on everything that we're reviewing today. Okay, including financial aid, the nursing program, honors, auto, all of these programs are detailed on our website. Any questions regarding transfer anymore?
The only question I had come up is regarding your academic programs, and I think we're going to discuss that in a couple slides.
Okay. Oh, and just to clarify, let me see how much time I have here. Okay. So when you transfer to a SUNY four-year, there's this misunderstanding. People think that as long as you graduate from the two-year, you get into any four-year SUNY. And that's not how the rule works. It's that you're guaranteed a seat somewhere in the SUNY system. So just keep that in mind, that it might not be your first choice, but you are guaranteed a seat at the four-year level in SUNY if you graduate from a two-year SUNY. Okay, and let's move on. Popular programs at RCC include, you know, we said liberal arts and science or is one of the largest programs, but we have a great nursing program. Criminal justice numbers around 400, close to 400 students under the direction of Dr. Kevin Barrett. He's amazing. Marketing and business and accounting. Now we have a new component under the MTS honors program where you can actually be an honor student and a business student at the same time. That was difficult in the past, but we've been able to pull that off. Graphic design, computer graphics. We have cybersecurity, computer design, computer information systems, if you're into programming. Hospitality, culinary arts. We have a state-of-the-art culinary facility that we just opened, I would say about 3 semesters ago. And it is in Nyack, and it is amazing. They put in, I think it was close to $2 million to renovate the site. Engineering science is a fairly strong program with a great transfer agreement with Binghamton University, and you could transfer there and select any discipline in engineering with a 2-year degree from RCC. I have a question about programs. Nursing. What are the requirements for the nursing program? Nursing is competitive, and in the past you had to take the prereqs before getting into the nursing clinicals or the actual core concentration courses, but that has been changed. And so students will get in just based on their TASC exam. So you can come out of high school, and as long as you apply before the deadline, you've missed the deadline for this fall, but you could always apply for the spring. And if you have a TASC score that is proficient, but it is competitive, so they're going to take the stronger scores, you can get into the program and then complete both the prereqs, which are now co-reqs, the science and the math and the psychology. You could complete them concurrently while you're taking the nursing clinicals, which I think is a lot to handle. So there's nothing wrong with you coming to RCC for the first year and taking all the prereqs. You would have to take anatomy 1 and 2, chem 105 or the 101, and the microbiology, along with 2 psychology courses, general psych, developmental psych, statistics, speech, and English 101 and 102. So those 8, I believe there are 8 or 9 prereqs, you can complete the first year and then apply to the program the second year. And I think you fare better on the TASC exam once you complete all the science courses and the math. I think that'll elevate your score. So that's my recommendation. And you could apply twice a year for the fall. It's April 15th is usually the deadline, sometime around mid-April. And the window for the next cycle for spring will open up in August. For the deadline sometime in, I don't know it offhand, but it's sometime in either September or October. It might be October 15th. Okay, any questions regarding programs?
The one question I have in here is, for the graphic design program, are you required to have a portfolio review?
That, I would have to, you can email me, I could find out. I don't want to give you the wrong information. I don't believe you need one, but I don't want to jump the gun on it, but I don't believe you need one, no. But email me, oarias@sunyrockland.edu, or you can call me 574-4272, 845 area code, and I'll get you that information. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, let's move forward. The schools. Okay, so this is something new. There's a national campaign called Guided Pathways, and our president, Dr. Basson, is one of the spearheads of the movement and a very strong voice and a supporter of this new initiative. And what it is a division of schools. We've kind of we're trying to mirror what we see at the 4-year level. So now within the 2-year system, you're going to have 5 schools. Let me see if I can make this a little larger. I did before, so you can see. Okay. So as you can see, the school will divide the academic programs. I don't know if that helps. But so we have the Allied Health School, or the School of Nursing and Health and Wellness. And degrees under that program are obviously the ones you see there: nursing, occupational therapy, public health, exercise, human performance. Business would be the business-related programs. And then you have the School of Education for teacher ed, psychology, everything under that umbrella for each school. So every academic discipline that's associated to STEM would be under the School of Science, Tech, and Engineering and Math, and Humanities would be the general liberal arts program. And the whole philosophy behind it, the core philosophy, is that it has a student-centered approach, which allows a student to start his or her education with an end goal, so that you know from the very start where you want to be in 2 years, and then ultimately where you want to be in 4 years. And it aims to keep the student on track by mapping their academic progress with a level of efficiency that will guarantee an on-time graduation. So we want to increase the rate of completion. And right now, nationally, that's where many schools are suffering, is that the kids don't finish in 4 years, they finish in 5 and sometimes 6 years. And so that's one of the issues that this new system wants to address, and it's like intervention early. And how do we do that? How does it intend to reach that goal? Is by clarifying the whole college process and simplifying the pathway for students. I know that many students coming out of high school are so confused. They don't know what to major in. They don't know if they really want to take that dive and that investment, that financial investment. So we'll help them by clarifying, not just giving them the financial literacy they need, but also career choice, career counseling early on. So you're going to be teamed with a peer mentor that will help you, a career and academic advisor that will help you decide. Primarily the career and academic advisor. The peer mentoring comes later, but it'll give you a similar approach or similar vision as other students have in pursuing the same goal that you have. And ultimately is to ensure that the students are learning. So you can call it hand-holding, but it's more of a cradle, an academic support cradle, so that we don't lose these students early on. They don't stop out. So we catch them before they stop out, and remedy the situation by finding a solution to whatever, be it financial, academic, or personal. So that's the whole idea behind pathways, and that's new. So we're going to be unveiling that this coming semester. Let me shrink this. Let's see. Any questions regarding pathways? No.
I think we'll finish answering the questions after you finish the rest of the session.
Okay. Let me see. Where am I? I can't see my pointer. Oops. The screen. Okay, here we go. So a high school program. For those of you who are still in high school, maybe juniors or sophomores, and you're just planning ahead, if you're a Rockland County resident, you could take advantage of our RCC high school program, where students can take courses in the high school or on the main campus or one of our satellites, and earn college credits while you're in high school. And this is great because you could register for up to 11 credits. You have to be a part-time student. As long as you are in 10th, I believe 10th grade now, you can take courses at RCC or at the high school. Even technically, even a ninth grader, if you qualify to get in, you have to have the grades and you have to be recommended by your high school. You could take one course, two courses, three courses. I see here on the slide where it indicates that you have to place into English 101. I think that's an error. We could actually use your college GPA to get you into that program. So you could actually be waived from the placement test based on the grades I had mentioned earlier and the scores that I had mentioned earlier for this program. And if you're seeking to take a math, the same likewise, you could actually get into the program based on your academic performance in high school. This is different from the early admit program. The early admit is a full-time program where you have to come to RCC. You have to separate from your high school and you complete your senior year at RCC. Now that program will require placement for both English and math and at the college level without the need for remediation. So they're two separate programs. RCC high school program is part-time. Early admit is a full-time program where you could complete up to 18 credits per semester, 36 senior year of high school, and have a year of college under your belt. And those courses that you need for New York State high school graduation, New York State requirements for English, American government, economics, you could take those at RCC, and they'll be good for both, for high school and college. That's the program, early admit. So early admit is, the guidelines a little different. You need at least an 80 GPA or a 2.66 on a 4.0 scale. And you have to take the test. There's no way you can't, if you want to get into the early admit program, you cannot be exempt from the exam, regardless of how well you did on your SAT or ACT. Okay, so we went over that. And you could also piggyback and get into the honors program if you're in the early admit program, but not in the RCC high school program. You have to be a full-time student at RCC. Can't be taking anything at the high school. Options to receive high school diploma. Yes, so the 24 credit ATB, HSC program, the high school equivalency program, that's the program for students that don't have a high school diploma, can't meet the requirement to graduate in their short 1 or 2 courses, but don't want to go to high school, or if you've been out of high school for a while and never graduated, you can come to RCC, and if you meet the minimum level requirements on the English and math placement, we're looking at reading comprehension, sentence skills, and arithmetic, those 3 components on the exam. If you meet the 3, you have to meet all 3, you can get into college and be eligible for New York State aid only, so the TAP only. And but you would be taking college courses. There's no GED class, GED advisor, there are no GED programs at RCC. So you're basically, it's a backdoor to get into college without a high school or a GED, high school diploma or GED certificate. And the credits that you're earning under that program, the 24 credits, will then apply to your associate degree. So you're almost halfway through your associate degree when you finish the 24 credits. If you do it full time, you're looking at 1 year, 2 semesters. And those same credits would then qualify you for the GED without examination. So you would get you don't have to take the TASC. You would just be awarded your GED based on the performance. You have to have a C or better in those 24 credits. And they are designated courses that the state has assigned for that program, basic gen eds, general education courses. The TASC is the other way. So in New York State, you can get your GED two different ways. One is by the 24 credit program, and the other is by passing the TASC. The advantage with TASC is that once you pass the exam, you qualify for both Pell and TAP. And you don't have to satisfy the 24 credits because you have a GED, a high school equivalency diploma, and you can enter college. So if you want more information on that, you could also email me. Honors program, we spoke briefly about it. You have to have at least 24 credits to graduate with an honors degree, meaning that not all your courses are at the honors level. You don't need an SAT score, though it can help your application. It does not hinder you in any way. It's not required. We're test neutral. We like to see a GPA of 3.3 or better. You could always negotiate with Dr. Katie Lynch, the amazing Dr. Katie Lynch. And you have to maintain a 3.5 GPA to graduate. So, and if you don't have the initial requirements to get into the program, we have a turnaround program where we allow students to complete a semester of coursework at RCC or 2 semesters. And if you do well and you fare well and you have a strong GPA of 3.5 or better, maybe take 1 or 2 honors courses with permission, and you do well, then you can get into the program. It's an amazing program. It has a study abroad component where in the summer you can study at Cambridge and you earn, I believe, 3 humanities credits along with that. We have internships available for those students, and we have the most important feature, which is the faculty advisor. They really help you with your personal statement, selecting your 4-year school, and really guiding you through that process. The faculty mentors are really the key to that program.
Oscar, we have 1 minute remaining,
1 minute.
and I wanted to get the one question that I had out there before we wrap up is, when can I submit for financial aid, and how often do you send that information out to students?
Financial aid is online. You could go to FinAid at FINAID at SUNY Rockland EDU if you need assistance. People working remotely are putting together workshops, virtual to help individuals apply. But my recommendation is immediately. It can take 30 to 60 days to get packaged. So if I was supposed to try and do it before the 1st or the latest 15th of June, so that you know exactly what your work is for the coming semester before your classroom, how much money you receive, if you qualify. And you apply, you can apply, you don't keep students from applying. It's just that apply in August and class in September, you don't receive your award, you're going to have to get a payment plan and at least make the payment of, I believe, 5%. Now, if it turns out that you don't qualify for aid into the semester, a month or 2, you will be responsible for the entire bill.
Oscar, you're actually breaking up. I think we're having some issues, but I think we'll wrap up and people can reach out to you directly.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, guys. Be well and stay safe.